Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Om Vishnu Para Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astota Sata Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnu Para Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astota Sata Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shishya Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavana Dham Ki Mathura Dham Ki Naradvipa Dham Ki Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Ganga Maya Ki Yamuna Maya Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bo. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for being here. This is one of my first classes, so if you guys, I hope that you guys won't have to go anywhere today. So I'm going to be speaking on Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 6, text 17. We have Bhagavad Gita over here if you would like to get a copy and chant along. But, okay, I'll start chanting. Yuktat hara viharasya, yukta chestasya karmasu, yukta swapnava badasya, yoga bhavati dukkha. It's text number 17. So the translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He who is regulated in the habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. And in the purport, extravagance in the matter of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, which are demands of the body, can block advancement in the practice of yoga. As far as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one has practiced to take and accept prasadam, sanctified food. Lord Krishna is offered according to the Bhagavad Gita vegetables, flowers, fruits, grains, milk, etc. In this way, a person in Krishna consciousness becomes automatically trained not to accept food not meant for human consumption. or not in a category of goodness. As far as sleeping is concerned, a Krishna conscious person is always alert in the discharge of his duties in Krishna consciousness. And therefore, any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. Ayartha kalatvam. A Krishna conscious person cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, sleeping is kept to a minimum. His ideal in respect is Srila Rupa Goswami, who was always engaged in the service of Krishna and who could not sleep more than 2 hours a day, and sometimes not even that. Thakur Haridas would not even accept prasadam, nor even sleep for a moment without finishing his daily routine of chanting with his bead 300,000 names. As far as work is concerned, a Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not connected with Krishna's interest, and thus his work is always regulated and is unattained by sense gratification. Untainted by sense gratification. Since there is no question of sense gratification, there is no material leisure for a person in Krishna consciousness. And because he is regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, wakefulness, and all other bodily activities, there is no material misery for him. Om Jnana Timirandasya Kyanajana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Panda Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantarada Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishibhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakopatrubhischa Kripa Sundubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So my name is Bhakti Dimitri, and Balaram asked me to give a class. He's on Harinam, so I'll try to speak from the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And this Bhagavad Gita is a very famous book, as you probably know. It's actually considered to be a law book, a guidance for human life. And it's not just mere philosophy. It's actually a very practical book. That's why you can see Krishna's. The question is why Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna is because he wanted Arjuna to actually start acting and doing something that can help him with this perplexed situation in the middle of the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And so Arjuna is standing with his mind very disturbed, very depressed, and his eyes are full of tears. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what his duty is, and he's confused. So Krishna, he says to Krishna that, Govinda, I shall not fight, and he fell silent. You know, so there's a famous verse in the 2nd chapter where Krishna says that while speaking the learned words, you're actually mourning for something that is not worthy of grief. So you should fight for the sake of fighting, and you should not consider happiness or distress. You should not consider loss or gain, victory or defeat. You should just fight, and in that way you will not incur any sin. So also, like Krishna, we have a duty to perform in this life, and our mind is also disturbed. We also feeling perplexed in certain situations in life, and that's why Bhagavad Gita is a book for people who are trying to succeed in life, because it can make you a very successful person, and the success in life is focused on practicing yoga, and more specifically Bhakti yoga. That's why I chose this text, because the chapter number 6 deals with the mind, you know, and the mind, as all of us know, it's such a troublemaker, you know. So yoga, it means to work with our mind, and our mind is disturbed, perplexed, always deviated, and is looking for something easy to obtain, for some, you know, sensual pleasures, you know, and activities of the mind cannot ever be stopped, since the eternal soul is always active, and reflection of the eternal soul is the working of the mind. But those activities, they can be purified. They could be transcendental. We can get a higher taste, and we can actually change the qualities of our activities, and therefore we can deal with the troubles that the mind brings to us. But we actually need to understand, as the text says, that first step to practicing spirituality, bhakti yoga, Krishna consciousness, is we need to be regulated in our activities. You know, as Srila Prabhupada says in the text, that we need to be regulated in eating, sleeping, recreation, and work. And in the purport, Prabhupada explains that eating can be regulated only when one is practiced to take and accept prasadam, the sanctified food, first offered to Krishna. There's a famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yume Bhaktya Prayachiti Tadaham Bhakte Uparitam Ashnami Prayatatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, or fruit, or water, I will accept it. So it's not so difficult to please Krishna. We don't have to be very rich. We don't have to possess. We don't have to be super educated. And it's simple. We just offer whatever we can find. Water and leaf is it's easy to find. Anybody can do that. And the next thing to regulate is sleep. A Krishna conscious person is always alert in discharge of his prescribed duties. And therefore, he doesn't like to spend unnecessary time. He doesn't like to waste time. The question arises is, what is the duty of somebody who's practicing bhakti yoga? And the duty of a practitioner the most essential duty is to preach, because this is how we can maintain temples. How we can make new devotees, new people interested in this knowledge, especially in the West. So we have to be concerned. We have to make preaching our essence of our life. And the next thing that Srila Prabhupada describes is that we have to be regulated in work activities. And it's very simple. We have to just connect our activities, our work, with an offer to Krishna. Everything we do should be offered to Krishna. And after work comes recreation, and some people might say that, recreation and spiritual practice, how is it possible? Aren't you supposed to be very serious and austere? But Prabhupada was asked one time by a devotee, what does it mean to be what does recreation and Krishna consciousness mean? And Prabhupada said, just dance, just dance with us. and when you a little tired, just sit down and take prasadam. It's very simple, Anybody can do that, and anybody is welcome to do that in this room in the walls of this temple. And So it all starts by regulating our activities with the help of bhakti yoga, and we connect our activities with Krishna. That way we can feel happiness, true happiness, and that's why when you see devotees, they practicing Krishna consciousness and they're very happy, just naturally, because we get a higher taste. And even looking at somebody who is serving Krishna, it just makes you very, very pleased. It just makes you very happy. If you see somebody being engaged in service, it's very pleasuresome to watch that, to see that. And it's much easier. Bhakti yoga is much easier to practice than, for instance, the dhyana yoga, which deals with the mind. Some people in previous ages, they used to go to this secluded place, live the family life, and meditate. But nowadays, Krishna consciousness, bhakti yoga is what we truly need, because it's impossible. Even Arjuna said in the Bhagavad Gita that it's impossible to practice any other yoga system because of the mind. The mind is always agitated, and the nature of the mind is flickering. It's chanchalam himanaha. So subduing the mind is not very easy, but it's possible. We just need to find the object which could be pleasurable. The most pleasurable object there is, it's Krishna. If we focus our mind on Krishna, this is the way. So I found this. I was reading Bhagavatam. I'm reading the second canto, and it says that the mind, although ceasing to think of sensual activities at present, remembers past sensual activities from the subconscious status, and thus disturbs one from 100% engagement in self-realization. So under the consciousness, there's a subconsciousness, and subconsciousness is something that we enjoy or suffered in the past activities in previous lives. So when we get this body, we actually those things on a subtle level, they carry on to this body, and that's why it becomes really tricky to control the mind, because it's always looking for some desires. Something is always triggering the mind, and it's all based on this different samsaras that we get from our past. But then there's a text in the Gita 647, Yoginam api sarvesam mad gatenan parat atmana shadava bhajate yomam semi yukta tamomataha. Of all the yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental love and service to me is the most intimate. So, yeah, this is like one of the main verses in the Bhagavad Gita. We should focus our mind in serving Krishna and thinking of Krishna, and that way we can overcome any difficulties on a mental platform. And there's one great secret to practicing bhakti yoga, and some people might not think that it's important or might not have developed faith in it. But one of the best grand secrets of practicing bhakti yoga is if we and it helps in controlling the mind if we accept a spiritual master, because this is the one of the practical things that Bhagavad Gita tells us, that we should take guidance, take shelter under a bona fide spiritual master, and this is the most reliable way to control the mind. Krishna gives unlimited intelligence to a spiritual master to guide the disciples. So it's unlimited intelligence. It's a lot. It's a lot of intelligence. So we can definitely see that a spiritual master is capable of delivering us, but it's really hard to realize that, being so agitated all the time and, always trying to please the senses and the mind. But once we get this opportunity to come in contact with devotees and experience a high taste, we gradually can start a practice, of meditation, which helps to control the mind, and controlled mind gives this very nice field to practice bhakti yoga. That's why we chant the mantra. We chant the mantra 16 rounds every day, so we can have a good start and have live this morning practice with a nice samsara on our mind, and practicing chanting meditation, chanting for 16 rounds. You can literally set up the mood for the day, and if you chant very attentively, you can think throughout the day. You can think of Krishna, and it can help you to overcome difficulties. So. And in overall, this is the highlight of yoga practice, is to chant the holy name and to find pleasure in doing that. And so all the conclusion of the Vedas is to directly converse with Lord Vishnu. That's Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why we come to this temple, and that's why we seek seek this inner happiness, seek to perfect our life. It's in relishing the holy name, and it's in finding direct relationship, direct association with Krishna. And material energy, it's actually can be connected with the absolute, with the help of devotional service. And a pure devotee can purify anything that he touches. Any material object over here in this room, in your house, could be used in Krishna service. And so this process of devotional service is something what we're trying to strive for, and something that we're trying to practice. And me myself, I'm also trying to practice that. One of the services that I do is to go out to distribute books, and it's a very fun activity because you get to speak about Krishna with people who have never heard about Krishna before, And when I meet people who are familiar with Bhakti Yoga, familiar with the Bhagavad Gita, I try to always engage them in the service at the spot. I try to give them a Bhagavad Gita and tell them to distribute it to somebody today, so you can also be engaged in Krishna service. Like in the last chapter, Krishna says, for one who explains the secret to my devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and in the end he can come back to me. So it's as simple as that. We should share a Bhagavad Gita. We engage our mind in practicing Krishna consciousness and controlling that mind through that practice. We accept the spiritual master, and we trying to surrender our body, our senses, our mind, and our intelligence to this process. And in the end, we can all attain the supreme happiness. So this is what I prepared for today, and I'm sorry if it's not maybe not so long, but if you guys have any corrections or comments or questions, please feel free to ask. And by the way, we do have Bhagavad Gitas here. If you like to also take one and distribute, maybe we can give you one today.
So which chapter of Bhagavad Gita is most what is intriguing, or you found most fascinating?
Most fascinating. So the first chapter, you can say it's setting up the scene for the battlefield, and gives us an understanding of what's going on. The second chapter is speaking the Bhagavad Gita is shortly presented, and so all the general storyline and well, everything's in the second chapter. It's generalizing the whole book, the whole book, and the same with the last chapter. And from the first to the sixth chapter, it's speaking about different types of attaining the supreme through different yoga system, like dhyana yoga, jnana yoga, karma yoga, bhakti. So for me, I think that I really like to read the sixth chapter, actually, because it helps me to always remember that the mind is something that you need to control and pacify in order to actually understand other chapters, And I often show the verses of the sixth chapter to people on when I distribute books. So I would say maybe yes, the sixth chapter is a very nice one to read. Thank you. Any other questions?
How many times have you read the Bhagavad Gita?
So I read Bhagavad Gita one time from cover to cover, and I think maybe 2 times, just the shlokas, and yeah, that's so many times. Not so many. I moved into the temple just maybe 10 months ago, and I found out about Bhagavad Gita just I think a year ago, and to me it's when I was reading Bhagavad Gita, I understood that this is what I was searching for all my life, and I had no doubt that whatever is spoken in the Bhagavad Gita is the absolute truth. So that's what inspired me to come to the temple. And after coming to the temple and speaking with people who are practicing and reading Bhagavad Gita and practicing what it teaches, I understood that this association is very pleasing to my heart. And I was really, I had no doubts that I should just move in and embody this knowledge and include this in my life and practice this myself. Yeah.
Maybe the extension of the story, maybe you could describe what event turned into you getting into Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
This is like a sideline, but
yeah,
it's a rare opportunity to get you speaking. So.
Yeah. So as we know that there's 4 ways to be interested in the matters of the absolute truth. And for most people, actually, they experience 4 of these ways. Like when people are searching for the absolute truth, when they're inquisitive, when they looking to understand the Supreme, and when they looking for wealth, material wealth. And to me, it's actually a combination of both of them. But most importantly is I was just very surprised by the nature of the mind, and how sometimes we acting, we're not even even thinking about like certain things, to do certain things, but all of a sudden being controlled by higher powers, we just we act and we make mistakes, and I was trying to understand the nature of why is that we cannot control it, and why is that we cannot be at least close to being maybe it's foolish to say, but at least close to being a nice person in many ways. So I was trying to really understand, and my inclination to meditation and yoga also helped me. So yeah, I guess all these things inspired me to to search for a higher purpose. I hope that somehow answers. Hare Krishna. Jai.
You're from Russia, isn't it?
Yes.
You speak very good English.
Jai. I've been inspired to speak English by all the devotees, and reading Prabhupada's books helps also. So, Jai.
Well, presenting the Bhagavad Gita to Mr. Putin.
He has a copy. He just yeah. Yeah, he has a copy. He met devotees actually from the temple in Moscow. They gave him a Bhagavad Gita, but
Politicians, they say they read it, but they don't read it.
yeah, yes, it's very hard to be fully practicing something spiritual when you in such a realm with high responsibility. So we hope that someday Bhagavad Gita will be understood by Vladimir Putin. Exactly. Hare Krishna.
Although it was spoken in the time of war.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we can end this class by chanting Maha Mantra one time for all the devotees in Russia, in Ukraine. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much for being here and listening to me. Hare Krishna.